Okay. Do you have a suggestion for my guitar?
Hold on one second. Give it a try now. Is it working now?
Can you hear my guitar through the speakers? Thank you so much. Yes, we are in business. Good job.
All right.
Thank you. Awesome.
I don't know if it's through the speakers or acoustically, but we'll just do the most of it. All right. 1 second.
Test. Yeah, I think
When
I'll
you
grab-
said Ahava Rabbah, you were talking about tomorrow, right? For Ahava Rabbah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just make sure.
I don't know. I will do whatever you tell me to do. Thanks for changing out the candles. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's so good to see you. It's so good to be
This
here.
is really fun.
This is super fun. You're awesome.
Okay, you ready? All right, Shabbat
Hey.
Shalom. I'm going to grab a siddur also. That'd be a good thing for me to have.
Here's one right here if you want to share.
Okay, no worries. I'll just grab one more,
Okay.
then we will get started.
Yeah. Hello, welcome. Nice to see you. Hello in the back. Welcome. I have some shaker instruments up here. I've washed them down with some bleach wipes. So if you would like a timbrel,
There you go. Karen's very into the timbrels.
I'm very into timbrels.
So-
I brought you a tambourine. Would you like it?
That would be wonderful.
You are amazing at tambourine playing.
I don't know about that, but
Yes, you are.
well, thank you. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Great to have you here and great to have people joining us virtually. Our wonderful Cantor Brown Levy, is on a very well-deserved break this weekend after leading us beautifully through the high holidays. And so it's a real joy to share the Bima once again with my friend Karen Nielsen Anson, who has brought instruments and things for us to be interactive with this week. So that's fun.
We have toys.
And I don't know, last year, Karen would lead services with me about every other week, and so that led to dozens of times of us being on the Bima together, but it was so much fun. I had
So
the
much
best
fun.
time,
Well, I did
except
too.
the only bummer about that was that there was never anybody here. And so because we were in lockdown, and so as we are now creeping back into in person, it's nice to have people here. Welcome. And we're going to get started by seeing how good it is for us to be together. With Hine Matov, we're on page 128, the Mishkan Tefillah Siddur. If you don't have a Siddur, there are plenty right outside there.
You can just help me with rhythm. Here's the beat. There you go. You can play your instruments with me. So great to be here to bring in Shabbat together. There's no better way than to sit with brothers and sisters and to bring in the joy of Shabbat together. And we do that by making some noise together, okay? Here we go. Hine matov u'manayim shevatahim gam yad. Hine matov u'manayim shevatahim gam yad. Shevatachim gam yad, hine matov. Shevatachim gam yeah. Here it goes, speeding up. Hine matovu manayim, shevatahim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, shevatahim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Yadada, 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 yadada. Hine matov, hine matov. Yadada, 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 yadada. Good job. Hine matovu manayim, shevatahim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, shevatahim. Let's hear those shakers. Gam yachad.
We will turn now to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem, welcoming in Shabbat and praying for all of us to have a peaceful Shabbat too.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Uni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To your shakers.
We'll turn to 138 and we'll welcome Shabbat. Shabbat's supposed to be a fun time for us. We learn it's almost like a wedding, and you've maybe always experienced how fun weddings can be. That's what Shabbat is, about us coming together. And so page 138, we're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Yes, 1, 2, 5, and 9. And then we're all going to rise on that 9th verse
On the very last one.
and turn and face the door
I'll cue you.
as if to greet
The bride.
Shabbat bride. Rabbi, I invite you to use your tambourine.
Oh, okay.
And here it goes like this. Lecha lecha dodi likat likat kala pene pene shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likat likat kala pene pene shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zakur b'dibur echad kishmi'anu elam yichad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shemo tiferet v'liti la 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 chadoti likat likat kala b'nei penei shabbat nekavela Lecha lecha dodi likat likat kala b'nei penei shabbat nekavela Likat Shabbat lekuveneka Ki makor ha-bracha merosh mekidem Nesu kasov ma'aseh v'ma'shavat techila la 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 kadoti Likat likat kala B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela Lecha lecha dodi likat likat kala B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela Hitori, hitori, kiva ori, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daveri, kavod Adonai al yagnagli la 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 kadoti, likat likat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekavela, lecha lecha dodi likat likat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. We
We
rise.
rise and face the entrance to greet Shabbat.
Bo'iva shalom, aseret ba'ala, kala, pene pene shara ne kavila, la kala kado di la kala kala, pene pene Shabbat ne kavila.
Well, as we greeted Shabbat and greeted the Shabbat bride, let's greet Shabbat as well by bringing light into our Shabbat and remembering that Shabbat is supposed to bring light to us. It's supposed to bring reflection for us, and it's supposed to help us remember how to be better people to bring light into the world. So I'd actually love to, Miriam, I'd love to invite you to come up and light our Shabbat candles.
Miriam, would you do us the honor?
Aside from the fact you have a beautiful name, my daughter's name, Miriam and her family actually just about 10 minutes ago joined Kolami.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I was just meeting them for the first time. I'm so delighted.
We're thrilled to have you here and to be a part of our
Would
community.
you do us the honor
All
and
you
be
have to do is light the
part of our
candles
kahila?
and we will lead the blessing.
I'm happy to accompany you, or if you want to do it by yourself, either way.
No, I'll just light one more because there's like a vent right there or something. That happens every week.
So let's take a minute and gather in that beautiful light, all the moments of light from this week, and the light inside of each other, and the light inside of ourselves.
Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, etzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. You may be seated. We turn now to page 140 for the words of Psalm 92. We'll go to the indentation for Sadi Kadamar.
Oh, Rabbi, can you lead us in that,
Sure.
please? Awesome.
Sadi Kadamar Yifra Ke'erez Bavanot Yiskei Shetuim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Odinu B'Seva Deshenim V'ranim Yehiyu Agid Yashar Adonai Suri V'lo Avlata Bo 144 Yekada V'Yekada Shemei Rabba Yamani Brachir Tevim Lech Malchute B'chayehon Yomechon U'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala U'vizman Kariv Imeru Amen Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Elam Me'omaya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yipar V'Truman V'Naseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitala Shemei D'Kudesha B'Rehu Le'elam Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nehemata Dami Rabbi Alba V'Meru Amen. We rise for our call to worship the Baruch Hu on page 146.
And we all rise and face the bima. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
On page 149, at the top of the page, praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Ruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim.
And join me in Ahavat Olam on page 150. And yes, you can help with rhythm. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah Mitzvot Chukim Umishpatim Otanu Limata Al Ken Adonai Eloheinu V'shochveinu Uvkumeinu Nasiach Bechukecha V'nismach B'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki chem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'bahem negei yomam va'leila Ve'ahavdatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 la.
Page 152. Let's sing together the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed
Shoshpecha ufumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha Vehayu letotafot bein einecha Uftavtam Amezuzot beitecha Uvisharecha Lemantis keruv asitem ekol mitzvotai Vitem kedoshim Elohim Ahani Adonai Elohim Asher hotzeiti ethem Meretz Mitzrayim Liot lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim Adonai Elohim Amen. What we read about in the Torah this week is about how God created humankind. And I think really something I think about is how we need God obviously to exist, because we wouldn't exist without God, as it reads in the Torah. But also God needs us too. There's a reciprocal relationship there, because it's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And the philosophy on that is, how can sound exist if nothing is there to hear the sound? Likewise, how can God exist if there's nothing in the world to acknowledge God's existence? And so we read that basically, I think humankind had to exist for something to acknowledge God's existence and to be partners with God. But for hundreds of years, our people didn't really know God. And why was that? I think it was because when they were slaves in Egypt, people didn't see holiness in them. And when people don't see holiness in you, they're not seeing the godliness in you. And as a result, too, those people then aren't experiencing God. But it was in that moment where we crossed the sea and we received our freedom from Egypt that our people cried out, "Who is like you, God? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai." Because for that first moment, they were able to recognize God's existence, and they were able, through that acknowledgement, to all of a sudden have that relationship with God, which we have maintained ever since then, unabashedly. And so let's think about perhaps how we can look for the holiness in others so they too will know God. We're on page 158 as we sing the words, the Mi Chamocha.
What you're saying, Rabbi, is so beautiful and so important. For me, God is connection. And as I'm sitting up here, literally, it's been a year since I've been able to be in a room with people and singing. And it's a miracle, that we're here and that you and I get to hear each other singing, not him singing on a Zoom call or me singing on a Zoom call, but all of us together. It's the beginning. We're slowly getting back. So for me, this God is connection, and it's connection with each other. And when we see the divinity in each other, and when we see the goodness in each other, we're celebrating that connection. So get out your timbrels. If you don't have timbrels, use your yadayim, and we're celebrating that moment of freedom where we get to leave this worthlessness, right? This sense of ourselves as slaves, and we get to recognize the divinity in us and the connection between us.
Absolutely. And we read that they did actually use timbrels and stuff when they sang the song.
They actually did. So we're reenacting this moment of celebrating our freedom. And we use these words, yum pum pum, which starts us off. So if you don't know the Hebrew, sing along with me. It's super easy. If you know the Hebrew, join with me there too. So here we go. Yum pum pum pa yum pum 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 pa yum pum pum pa yum pum 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 yum pum pum pa yum pum 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 yum pum pum pa yum pum 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 pum. Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'eder b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh pele, Noratahi Lodo Sefele. Ralekutechara Uvanecha. Okay, I am Lifte Moshe Miriam. Say Eli Hanuvi Amru. Say Eli Hanuvi Amru. Adonai Yimo Le'olam Ba'ed. Adonai Yimo Le'olam Ba'ed. Yam pam pam pa yam pam 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 pa yam pam pam pa yam pam 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 pam. Yam pam pam pa yam pam 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 pam. Yam pam pam pa yam pam 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 pam.
Page 160. We sing asking God to watch over all of us as we go to sleep tonight so that we can lay down in peace and wake up once more tomorrow in peace too.
So once we found that divinity in each other, we realized that our kahila, or our community, could be our shelter of peace.
Absolutely.
So I sing some words called Spread Over Us, a Shelter of Peace, and I invite you to spread your canopy of peace over each other and connect with each other, whomever you're next to, and when I sing those words, go ahead and be that shelter of peace. Ufros aleinu sukkot, sukkot, shalom echad. Spread your shelter of peace. Spread over us. Put your arms around each other. Spread over us. Spread over us. A shelter of peace. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai Ufros aleinu sukkot, sukkot, shalom echad.
Page 162, top of the page, sing Vishamru. We learned as long as the Jewish people have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept also the Jewish people. Let's join together.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam.
We will rise for the Amidah on page 164. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Hastei Avot Imo U'Mevig Yula Lifnei B'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin Baruch atah Adonai Magin Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mehayeh Hakol Atah Rav Le'Oshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid Agashem Mechalkel Hayim Be'esed Mechayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofei Holim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Mihamacha Ba'al Gevurot U'Midom Elav Melech Memi U'Mehayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'nem Anatale HaHayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mehayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shim HaKadosh V'Shim B'chol Yom Yahalilu Chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We are on page 172. You can continue reading silently through page 180. On the odd number pages are reflective readings. On the even number are the prayers. Or you can use this as an opportunity for your own thoughts and prayers. And when you're finished, you may be seated.
say shalom bimromav, yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, 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 yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are on page 371, and we are going to turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing of the mind, body, and spirit, and those as well who are in a period of recovery. So again, page 371.
So I'm going to sing the first verse, and then I'll pause, and then we can offer names for those individuals for whom we are offering prayers for healing. Mi sheberach avotenu, Makor habracha laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
This week, we think of these members of our community and their loved ones. Abraham Shlomo ben Yochanan B'Simcha, Elchanan Yitzhak ben Shamshin Pinchas, Eliza bat Orli, Esther bat Malka, Gitalea bat Mashahana, Meir Alter ben Balis, Menachem Mendel ben Toba, Michael ben Manya, Shaul Mordechai ben Hana, Yitzhak ben Etalea, Yoshua David ben Shaul Mordechai ben Esther, Barbara Arnovitz, David Arnovitz, Mona Asher, Lorraine Berry, Ariana Berenson, Kevin Bernstein, Hannah Brady, Marcia Bronsky, Denise Dobling, David Dowsett, Theo Dowsett, Evelyn Edwards, Jeremy Eckstein, Genevieve Ellsworth, Charles Frost, Will Goldman, Scott Hacking, Sharon Hobbs, Susan Horn, Sharon Katz, Patrick Koiziel, Rabbi Dove Lerner, McCall Lifferth, Savannah Lifferth, Megan Magleby, Patty Maltz, Jamie Manson, Tyler Matthews, Janet Morley, Tom Nelson, Shari Pedersen, Cynthia Pepper, Gerald Rosen, Luke Rosen, Philip Rosenberg, Ina Sable, Harvey Silverstein, Penny Spector, Angela Stefani, Linda Stern, Judy Wolf, and Vanessa Zeller. And if you have a name to add when I look in your direction, you're welcome to share a name. Pete? And if you're at home and you have a name to add, I invite you to do so as well.
And Brother Miller. Mi sheberach imotenu, mechor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalom. a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Well, anybody here have pets, by the way? Anybody with pets? Yeah? What do you have? A cat. What was that? Cat and what else? 2 rabbits and a guinea pig and a fish and a cat. All right. Rachel, you said you have pets? 2 dogs. I also have 2 dogs. What type of dogs? Okay. How about you? You have 2 dogs? What type of dogs? Wow. That's great. I love pets. I've got 2 dogs myself. They're my favorite things in the world. And part of the reason they're my favorite things in the world is because I'm their favorite thing in the world. I mean, it's pretty nice because no matter who you are, your dog thinks that you are king or queen of the world, right? Like I go out to grab my mail and I come back in and I've been gone 20 seconds and my dog is so excited to see me. And every single day I aspire to be the man that my dogs think that I am. I would give anything to be the person that my dogs think I am. And they look at me as though I am the greatest thing in the entire universe. Like, I basically have godlike status for my dogs. Maybe those of you who have dogs know that feeling. Probably those of you who have cats might not, and the cats can be a little ornery. I don't know. It depends on the cat. Some cats are very lovey. Others kind of, I don't know, a little standoffish. But that's dogs always think that you are basically the greatest thing in the world. And it's a wonderful feeling. And there's Jewish lessons, so many Jewish lessons on being kind to animals. One of them is that you're supposed to at least, feed your animals before you eat yourself. And that often seems counterintuitive. Dog training manuals tell us that we should eat first and then feed our dogs, so that way we are establishing dominance and let them know, hey, I'm in charge here. But what we learn in some Jewish teachings is, no, you're supposed to feed your animals first because your animals don't know when they're going to get to eat because they rely on you to feed them. And so they might see you eating and they don't get any food, and they might be wondering, will I ever get to eat? And so we learn that compassionately we're supposed to feed our animals first as recognition that they depend on us and can't go get themselves food if they're hungry. And, I'm also a person, as a result, I'm a person who's very supportive of animal cruelty laws because, again, these animals depend on us, and if we aren't treating them properly, then, that's our responsibility. If we aren't living up to that responsibility, there should be consequences for that. And my views on these issues really stem a lot from the parsha that we read this week, which is Bereshit, the very first Torah portion in the entire Torah. The other night, on Wednesday morning and Tuesday night, we finished reading the Torah, and so what did we do? We re-rolled it and started all over again. And in Parshat Bereshit, what we read is that other creations brought other things into creation. For instance, it says, let the waters swarm and bring forth the fish, and let the land bring forth vegetation. And we see that the creations God has made start working alongside God in creating other things. And then it comes time to create us humans. And in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, God says something very peculiar. God says, let us create a human in our image, according to our likeness. And there's a ton of debate. Who is God talking to? Because after all, our faith teaches that there's only one God, and yet God is speaking in the plural. Let us create in our image. Who's God talking to? Well, there's a lot of different theories. One of the more prominent ones that we read about is that maybe God is talking to angels or something like this. But there was this one 11th century or 12th century Spanish commentator, and his name was Nachmanides. He was kind of considered the second greatest Torah commentator of all time. And a lot of people call him the Ramban. And what Nachmanides taught was just as God had, well, these other creations had worked alongside with God to create other creations, like, again, vegetation, fish, whatever, that God is speaking perhaps with the prior creations and saying, let's work together to create a human being. And it's for this reason that our bodies are actually mostly water, and also our skin and such is made up of dust. And we read, from dust you came and dust you will return. That's why after we die, we essentially turn back into dust eventually. And so anyhow, perhaps this is what God is saying, is that we came from the earth ourselves, and that the other creations helped create us. And so why are we here? Why were we necessary? Like I talked about a bit earlier, what's unique about us is that unlike our pets, we have the ability to have a concept of God that they don't. And that's something you see, even though even here in Utah and in America, different people have different concepts of God. What is fascinating is that pretty much every single human civilization around the world, even before they were able to have any contact with each other, had a concept of there being a divine presence and something above them. The Inca in Peru, the Zulu in South Africa, the various tribes in the South Pacific Islands, etc. People had concepts that there's got to be something bigger than us. But how do we relate with this, and what is our job? Well, after God creates humankind, it says, God blessed them and said to them, Pruvu, be fruitful and multiply in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. And then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. So we have here God saying we're supposed to increase in our numbers, we're supposed to fill the earth and then subdue it, and rule over the fish and the birds and so on and so forth, and every living creature, and that every plant is meant for us. And a lot of people read this first chapter of the Torah and say, well, that means I can do whatever I want. This world is mine. The world was made for me. And I can take that tree. I can, take all the fish I want to, and I can treat these animals the way I want to because I'm supposed to rule over them and subdue them. But is that what God's really telling us? Perhaps, like, yes, I'm my dog's owner and stuff. But like I said before, there's got to be responsibility. Maybe we have a responsibility to take care of the earth, to take care of every living thing on earth. And sadly, what we see is rainforests decimated, climate change and glaciers retreating, animals going extinct, and the fish of the sea being depleted. Because we are ruling with force rather than responsibility. And we have before us, we read in the Torah, we read just a few weeks ago, before the very end of the Torah, which means before the very beginning of the Torah again, that God gives us a choice to choose blessing or curse, good or bad, life or death. And when we give in to our urges and we are not taking care of the world and thinking about future generations, we find ourselves all of a sudden depleting our world and not being partners with God, but rather exploiting what God has given us. So I guess the question is do we want to be people who take from God, or do we want to be partners with God? That's the question that's being posed. And again, when we look at just the literal meaning of the text, which is what a lot of people do, just look at the simple meaning. And I hear this frequently. It says, be fruitful and multiply. That means, and I've heard people in this state and in Israel and other places say, that means I should have as many kids as possible. That's what the Bible tells me to do. Yes, it's the simple meaning. But you have to dig deeper. That's what Judaism teaches us with the Torah, is don't just take the simple meaning. Look then deeper into it. And we see that commandment, be fruitful and multiply, it comes up only twice in the entire Torah. One is here with the creation of the very first human, and the second time is right after the flood of Noah, when humankind had been made virtually extinct. And it doesn't arise any other time. And so perhaps what God is saying here is, I need people. People are important. And if people were to go extinct, that would be a problem. Because I need partners in this world. I need partners to take responsibility over all of these things and appreciate them and make sure that they continue to exist. But for us, when we look and just at the simple meaning and just say, this means everything's for me and I can have as many children as I want and we can do whatever and overpopulate the world, all of a sudden we're thinking of ourselves. And we aren't thinking about that partnership, that relationship. And any of us who've been in a relationship know, relationships have to be two-way streets. If they aren't healthy relationships, if it isn't an equal give and take. And so if we take and take and take in this world, but we aren't giving back to it, and we aren't being responsible, are we being the creations that God intended us to be? Again, we've seen this with our pets. One of my dogs is a rescue dog, and I've never hit him, never hurt him or anything. And he is so loving towards me and knows he has trust in me and can sleep on my chest or whatever because he trusts me. But his previous owner didn't treat him so well. And so at first he was skittish. And he and we had to build that trust. And why is that the case? Because as humans, and this is what creatures of the world know, we have before us two choices. We can be cruel, and we have that capability, or we can be loving, and we can be caring. What are we going to choose? We can look at the world through this simple meaning of the text and say, the whole world was made for me. Every fish, every animal, every seed-bearing plant, it was all made for me. Or we can look at how they were all created and how God felt that we were still necessary to take responsibility and subdue all those things and take control of them and to care for them. And we can say, instead of the whole world was made for us, that perhaps we were made for the world. To care for it, to be partners with God. And when we treat other creatures and our world with kindness, I think what we're doing is we're experiencing holiness. And we're creating a tikkun olam, a world repaired in partnership with God. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Yashar Koach. What a wonderful, wonderful devar. Can you hear me? Have I lost my, I think I'm out of battery juice.
Okay.
It's just showing me a red light.
Let's switch that out for you really fast. So you can, in the meantime, use that.
Use this one?
No, right here.
Oh, look at that. Okay. So,
Go ahead.
so we're actually ready for announcements, it looks like. Yeah. But the rabbi's getting some batteries. It reminds me of Nishmat Kol Chai, Tivarech et Simcha. The breath of all life blesses you. Like the idea that if the we that God is talking to is all of creation, then how much easier it is to take care of all of that we that we come from, right? There we go. Thank you so much.
I hear you.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yashar Koach, thank you so much. Such an important message.
Let me
You're
share
giving
some
us.
announcements and stuff, and then we'll conclude our service.
Yeah.
So tomorrow morning, Karen and I will be leading the bar mitzvah of Max Brandt, who's a great young guy. That will be at 9:30 here in our sanctuary. So please come to have a nice service tomorrow, and also cheer Max on as he's called to the Torah. For those of you who've already donated to our High Holiday Appeal, thank you. We're extremely, extremely grateful. And if you haven't, please join us in helping invest in the future of our synagogue. We would really appreciate any of your help. Next weekend on Sunday, speaking of animals, in case you couldn't tell, I love animals, and you can actually meet my dogs I was talking about, because following Parshat Noah, the story of Noah's Ark, every year we do a Pups in the Park, and so that'll be next Sunday, October 10th. Bring your dogs out, and that'll be at 12:15. We'll meet on our patio. We'll do a little blessing for the animals, and then go for a walk in Tanner Park. And thanks to Mr. Jeff Bezos, the Kolami gift shop is going out of business. Thanks, Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Because everybody gets their stuff on Amazon. So we have all these Judaica things that we have that got to go. And so we're going to be doing this weekend and on next weekend by October 10th on Sunday, a kind of closeout sale of our gift shop with some discounted Judaica. Come get some stuff and help the school out by doing that, and also bring home some good things to have. And this Sunday at 9 o'clock, we'll need some volunteers to help take down the sukkah frame. We'd love any help with that. Our Intro to Jewish Life classes resume this Thursday, October 7th. And classes will be held up in the religious school annex for vaccinated folks at 6:30 on Thursdays. And also, there also is a Zoom link, and the registration and everything, pricing can be found on our website. Following our service, if you can return your lanyards, if you took one, thank you for that. And a big thank you to Karen for leading alongside me tonight. I appreciate it. It's great to be with you. Shabbat Shalom. With
Shabbat
that
Shalom.
said, we are going to turn to the Aleinu on page 586. And I invite you to rise for that. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'teit gedulah liyotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkinu kahem, v'goralinu k'cho hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz, umoshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu zo, b'gofei meromim, u'Eloheinu eino,
Page 588.
Memokinu efezulato, kakatu v'torato, v'datayom v'hashivota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim ima'al, el ha'aretz v'ha'aretz, mitachat einod, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. This time we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, and those who've died at this season in years past, and those who we have drawn into our hearts with our own. And if you hear the name of a loved one, you're invited to rise upon hearing that name. In the period of Shloshim, the 30-day period of mourning, we remember our congregant, Lauren Larry Weiss, husband of Gina Dalton. And this week we think of these loved ones whose Yortzite's anniversary, their passing, falls this week. Cecil Paul Bell, Isaac Bell, Lydia Campoy Mendoza de Moreno, Anna Checklin, Murray Gelban, Ann Goodman, Ann Greenband, Herbert Hirschman, Frida Isruk, Sanford Paul Kaufman, Arkady Kopolev, Louis Levitin, Estelle Levy, Samuel Love, Anne Marie Mass, Nettie Marks, Rocco Navarro, Sylvia Nadich, Leonard Pollock, Jay Rosenfield, Ava Salzberg Kissman Roseman, Helen Sandak, Shaya Shpashnikov, Jacob Schroeder, Sydney Spector, Ada Mae Granny Stein, Chloe Washington, Eric Andrew Whitman, Asher Ufit, Igor Zilberman, and Morris Walensky. And if you have a name to add, when I look in your direction, you're welcome to share a name with us. And if you're at home, I invite you to share a name as well. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you're in mourning or it's your tradition, do so. I invite you to rise. We're on page 598. Yitkadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma, Dibrachirte, B'yemlich Malchute, B'chayechon, Uvyomechon, Uchaye Dechol Be'Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman Kari, V'imru, Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah, Mivarach, Le'olam, Omei, Omaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yit Hadar, V'yit Haleh, V'yit Halal, Shemei Dekudasha, Barechu, Le'ela Min Kol, Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Damiran Be'alma V'imru, Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who are mourning and comfort the bereaved among us. And again we say, Amen. And we'll conclude with a song.
Thank you so much, Rabbi, for inviting me to come to assist you.
Thank you. It's always a joy, Karen. And it was fun to have some timbrels and stuff this week.
It's super fun to have our
Always fun with Karen.
rhythm section out here. Thank you so much for helping. And we're going to have one more song for you to help me with the rhythm. And the rhythm kind of goes like this, and it echoes the theme of the Rabbi's Devar, which is, I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. It's a wonderful song by my friend Sheldon Lowe, who wrote it. And the chorus, I hope you'll join me after you hear it a few times. It goes like this. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. Together it won't take long. Let's do Tikkun Olam. Wow, Rabbi, they're pretty good. They're right on rhythm. Could I get you to pick up that timbrel, Rabbi? And here we go. Here's the verse. I'll be the one to start the repair. Thinking at green, but don't just stop there. Reduce, reuse, recycle, keep Mother Earth clean. I just wanna be green. I just wanna be green. 'Cause I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. Together it won't take long. Let's do Tikkun Olam. I'll be the one to start the repair. Help those in need, show love and good care. Lending a hand to put someone at ease. Help those in need. Help those in need. Here we go. 'Cause I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. Together it won't take long. Let's do Tikkun Olam. I'll be the one to start the repair. Bring people hand in hand for peace we can share. When people come together, it's the perfect harmony. Make peace, make peace. Make peace, make peace. Everybody sing. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. Together it won't take long. Let's do Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care of the world, Tikkun Olam. I'm taking care week long. Let's do Tikkun Olam. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Let's rise for Kiddush, and then we will go enjoy our Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishem mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maseh b'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki banu b'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon inatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.